Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services.
Hi, I'm your host, Sharon McNamara, and you are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. Let me share a little bit about my background before we get started. I am the broker-owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, a boutique firm that is home to over 30 real estate sales and marketing agents who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my co-host Melissa Wallace and I will provide you with my team's unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We value the experience of our agents at Boston Connect Real Estate so much that not only will you hear my perspective on real estate topics, occasionally you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of our experienced agents at Boston Connect Real Estate. Be a part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you like to listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with me at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate. And good morning to all my South Shore neighbors. I am Sharon McNamara, and you are, of course, listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable here on December 6th, 2025. Holy moly, this year flew by. I have my sidekick with me here today, Melissa Wallace, and she is getting everything up and ready for us on Instagram, Facebook, and all those other great places like YouTube if you can't listen in, but we prefer that you listen on WATD because we have the best producer on the South Shore. His name is Tim McKinney. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Sharon. Good morning, Melissa. And Melissa, while you're over there tweaking, if you could bump the levels up a little bit, that would be great. Thank you.
Right. I will bump up some levels.
Bump. Yes.
Yeah. Do we really sound low right now, huh?
A little bit more than usual, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, we will get to that as well.
I don't just say these things for fun to keep you busy. Trust me.
I know. Yeah. I don't know. I think we had some gremlins come in over the weekend because we shut everything down like we normally do. We came in today and nothing was working. So we're just going to actually skip doing anything on Instagram, Facebook, and no social media today, my friends. So we have Melissa joining us now. And
hello.
Yeah, I have to bring up some of the volumes.
Oh, boy, her level really can come up.
Oh, goodness. Oh, yeah, even in my ears. So have I talked to you since Thanksgiving, Tim? Yeah, we talked after Thanksgiving, right? Yeah. I think last Saturday.
Yeah, I think so. That was so last week. I can't remember. Man.
It feels like so long ago,
I know.
no.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, happy late Thanksgiving to everybody and early Christmas. And I don't have anything in my ears. But here we go. Yeah, that's loud. So today we're going to be talking about, I feel like we've been talking a lot about sellers in the winter time, and I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and talk about buyers. And, Sharon's been working with a couple buyers recently. So, I wanted to talk about what that sort of process is like in the winter time with, showing properties and timelines and things like that. So, we're going to be talking about, our show is called Winter Home Buying. The buyers need to know, expect, and prepare. So that's sort of what we're talking about today. But yeah, so are our levels a little bit better now? A little bit.
Hello, Tim.
Hello. Can't hear Tim.
Huh.
Yes, hello. Sorry.
We just had heart failure. Everything.
That's what I get for running out of the studio. Yeah, they do sound better. Thank you.
Okay,
yes.
good.
Perfect. And you know what? It's sort of like, I don't want to bring creepy into this, but if anybody follows along on any of the Connect pages that I founded in 2009, the Shepherd's Funeral Home was actually raised this week. When I say raised, by the way, that means it was torn down this past week. And last night I was scrolling through because there's been a little bit of controversy about it. Unfortunately, it was people who haven't been really following along with what's going on next door. to our office. And so I just wanted to make sure that there's, I'd like to make sure that everyone's behaving in there. And then somebody posted a photo yesterday that he had taken, and you can actually see like these black, almost like clouds coming out, like so I'm hoping it was just smoke, but they were trying to assume that it was spirits.
What?
Yeah, I know. Well, it was a funeral home, but this is how I look at it. I mean, everybody was already their spirit was already where it was going to be before it got there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little interesting this week hearing everything that's going on for next door, because we were all kind of like, well, where's everybody been for the past how many years that this has sort of been the idea, that's going on. So, but.
And, it sort of does fall into a little bit of what we're talking about with buyers, because, one of what's going on next door, just so everybody knows, to all IWAT listeners, you're hearing it here, maybe not first, but maybe from my mouth first. A new development is going into the country club, Pembroke Country Club. It's a 55 plus development. I don't have the numbers offhand, how many units are going in there, but from what I know, it's cluster housing with sort of like single individual properties, right? Like smaller individual properties. And then it's a 40B project, but the builder had to put his 40B portion of that development. The town allowed him to put it somewhere else within town. So he did do that, and it's next door. He bought Shepherd's Funeral Home, which was, by the way, sold before we got here in 2019. And then just abandoned, and it really hasn't looked great. I mean, I've sent my landscaper over there just to like sort of mow the lawn area in between us in the summertime, right? And now it's going to be 63 apartments. And
wow.
Initially it was allotted for 55 plus, but the age requirement did get dropped. I have to do a little more research on that. So 63 apartments will be next to us, and a restaurant. Mm-hmm. So it will bring vitality to the town of Pembroke. I did sit on the master plan committee, as well as I sat on the public safety building committee, which, that has, both of those projects have started, both fire department, well, it's public safety, so it's both. I'm super excited for our town with all the new infrastructure that we're able to come together as a community and agree on, with the new community center. And now we'll have the new public safety building. Our library is not that old, but we know our good friend Bob DiMarzo. He has a library committee, and they're trying to do some STEM, portion onto the library, and he's been trying to get donations to do that. So lots of great things happening. Nobody likes change, but I do think what we're talking about today, it's really difficult. It was on the news twice this morning as I was flipping channels about how difficult it is for affordability for people to buy a home. If we have, and I wish that it had stayed the 55 plus. I fell asleep at the wheel. I don't know how I missed that meeting, but if regardless, if it was 55, my thought process was, the people who are in town that maybe want to snowbird or something like that, but they want to have sort of a home base here, they would be able to rent an apartment and then put their house on the market, and then maybe have a condo or something else down south or wherever it is that they choose to be. That to me would be getting the ketchup out of the bottle, because right now it's like sort of stuck, right? So everybody in these, in the colonials, if they were like, oh, yeah, it's time for me to right size. It's the right size for me right now. I'm going to take an apartment and still be in my town for walkability and everything. We have Big Y going across the street from us. If you haven't heard that, hello, people. Yeah. We are super excited about the Big Y taking over Stop and Shop's space across from us. And then the people in the colonial would sell. The people in the Capes would sell and move up to the colonials. And then that would leave more housing for first-time home buyers.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when it all got changed. I feel like you would know better than I do. But, yeah, I mean, we've sort of known the gist of what's going on next door since before we even really bought the building. Or, that it was changing hands and there was, potential for things to happen. So it was interesting to see all the uproar this week and of course everybody has their own opinion, which is totally fine.
Well, someone's opinion was, It was probably somebody from Boston Connect that sold the property, and then so many of them volunteer in town. They were probably sort of like washing the hands of the people in town hall so we could get these apartments. So I put that to rest. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even see your post, actually. So
yeah, I put it right under hers. I just basically said, I appreciate the fact that you're, realizing that we are basically the number one agents in Pembroke, and that we do sell a lot of homes in Pembroke. However, we had nothing to do with brokeraging that sale. We weren't on either side of that. We weren't the listing agent. We weren't the buyer's agent. And I take offense to anybody even remotely considering that there is a way to wash the hands of like the politics. It's like, I felt like, what are we talking about? Like back in the 50s when it used to happen in the city or something. I'm not even saying that it did happen, but people used to talk about it, let's say. But so I did tell that person I take offense to that. I've worked really hard for, our reputation here at Boston Connect Real Estate, and we work with sincere integrity at all times, and we volunteer. Volunteer means we give up our time to help our community be a better place. So, yeah.
So
there we are. That was that. And I just put that to rest. But, change sometimes is, difficult. But, that's why you have to go to these meetings. That's why you have to vote. That's why you have to get out there. If you don't want those things, then you have to vote against them. Yeah. And come up with a good reason why they don't belong where they belong. I think it will be fine. The builder and contractor has a very good reputation. He's built a lot of properties. I've never worked for him personally. But, from what I can see, is a good reputation. So
and it looks like it's starting.
Yeah. In his new development in Pembroke, hopefully it's going to be 55. That will open up some other housing opportunities for our first time home buyers, which is what we're talking to our audience about today. Winter home buying, what buyers need to know, expect, and prepare for.
Yeah. So like I said in the beginning of the show, so Sharon, you are currently working with a couple buyers yourself. And obviously right now it is winter time. And, I just want to go through we've talked about, less competition for sellers, but I think that we could also say that there's less competition for buyers as well. And, with that being said, so less competition, I think that buyers have a higher leverage, in the winter times as well. So, winter buyers, they face fewer bidding wars, I believe. Motivated sellers can offer flexibility and concessions, real life examples, from South Shore buyers. So, Sharon, you're currently working with, a buyer who, can see a property more than once, which there was a time where we weren't really doing that. And, it was tough for some of the buyers to see a property more than once, but you're literally showing a property more than once to the same buyer in the next couple of days. So maybe talk about how your showings sort of differ during the winter months.
Yeah, like you said, there is a bit of a slower pace when it comes to, that urgency of I have to get this offer in. All offers are due at this certain time. That's what happens sort of in the spring. And we say this all the time. I think that people, I'm going to wait until the spring to put my house on the market. Well, you're going to be one of more inventory, where you're better off being one of less inventory, right? Because if there's a good pool of buyers out there, then they're all going to want your house. And guess what? If your house isn't the one that's going to be the diamond in the rough, so to speak, and come the spring, if you're coming on the market, and I know I always sort of tend to switch back over to sellers, but if you are coming on the market in the spring, you should definitely make sure that you are really looking like a diamond, because now you have a lot more competition as well when you are listing your property. That means that the buyers have more properties to look at. But the good ones are the ones, the ones that are priced appropriately, the ones that, the buyer pools are looking for. Right now, I feel like there's two buyer pools that are fighting for the same style of house, and that would be like our first time home buyers. And it would be our right sizers, right? People who are downsizing. It's not a downer. It's not. It's just the right size for you right now. And those two groups of people tend to be, competing for the same style property. it makes it really difficult for the first-time home buyer because that boomer demographic that is also looking for it, the older boomer demographic that's looking for that same property, they have a lot of equity in their home. So, and probably, they have a good, 401k and retirement and all that other stuff that goes along with it. So they're able to come to the table with cash, which tends to bump people out. But don't fret over that. I always tell my sellers, it really doesn't matter where the cash is coming from, whether it's coming from somebody's bank account or it's coming from a bank, it's still coming to you. So not to worry about that so much. But back to your initial question, Melissa, is that when buyers are looking this time of year, they can slow down the pace a little bit because there isn't as much of a frenzy. For some reason or another, I think that some buyers say, I'm going to wait until the spring to see what else comes on the market. And I think that mindset is sort of evolved around FOMO. So they have the fear of missing out and they're afraid to commit to one property because they may find another better property or something that's more suiting to them come the spring. So I think that that's one of the good portions of this part of it, is that you're not competing with as many people, probably because some buyers decide to sort of drop out until the spring. And as Melissa was saying, currently I have some clients, I know that they went to an open house while I was away a few weeks ago. They went to an open house. They were showing some interest in another property, but decided that they wanted to see that one again along with one that they had seen. So, Melissa, you took them to the property for a showing while I was away, and then they narrowed it down to one, so they want to go back one more time. So it gives you the opportunity to, I'm not even going to say be picky. It's just like be confident in your decision, because, my big joke is all the time, I can't buy a pair of shoes sitting on Zappos, sitting on my couch with, a glass of wine, watching a fire.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how people can, you look at a house and then everything is like all gears, full force ahead. And it's like, you have to make that decision. That makes people nervous. The clients I'm working with right now, and that the ones that we're talking about, actually, they would be like, I'm not getting into a bidding war. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I think that's why it's great for them to be looking for a property now in today's market, and not, even a year ago. And obviously before that, even like during COVID, because they wouldn't have the opportunity that they have today to see a property, as many times as they have, and to make the informed decision over and over again that, okay, yeah, we've seen this property a few times and we do think it's too small. Okay, on to the next one. So, and again, it's also the motivation of the buyer, because they also one day would be sellers. So, just, sort of getting in the mind frame of, okay, what is their end goal here? So I think that right now in today's market is the perfect market for them, because they're taking a little bit of time, and rightfully so.
And too, one of the things we have here on the agenda to discuss too is, well, I don't even know if that's exactly it, but the buyer also, maybe the seller is more willing to deal with concessions. You know what I mean? They're just like sort of at a little bit of a slower pace as well. And they're like, you know what? I currently have this right now. And I may have talked about it last week as well, or one other day, is, I have a property and it has an in-law on it. So it's like 2 homes have to be sold in order to buy one. They were able to work it out where they only had to sell one property. And then we gave them a timeline, right? Of, okay, we're going to give you 2 weeks to try to get your place under agreement. That didn't happen right away. We extended it, and we're like, all right, let's just wait until after Thanksgiving, give them a little more time. We got to that point, and they ended up getting their house under agreement, and congratulations to that family as well. They signed their purchases and sales agreement on the 4th.
Yeah. I also want to talk about, seeing a property, we're talking about, buyers seeing properties in the winter months. I think it's also important to have a little bit of an imagination, and with the help of an agent. So this is why it's so important to work with an experienced agent, because sometimes, things can look dull in the winter. Like, let's just be honest. So, landscaping doesn't always look its best in the winter time. So you have to sort of have that imagination. And, it's really great if you're thinking about putting your house on the market in the later months of the year, but maybe do some photos in the beginning of the year, or when things are in bloom, or when your pool is open, and just showcase the best of what you have. Because sometimes it is hard for people to imagine certain things. Especially in vacant homes, because it is tough to okay, can my couch fit in here type of thing, because you can't see what they already had. But, so I want to, so landscaping, pools, even porches and decks, they can be hidden. I didn't even know that I had a patio out back, and I do, mostly because it was covered by moss. But I was like, oh, I do. I have a stone walkway and a stone patio, and I'm like, oh, okay.
That was like a surprise.
Things that you don't really notice right away, but you might have that, great feature. But like I said, buyers in the winter months, you got to use your imagination a little bit.
Well, and I think that you did it as well as I did. I do it all the time. I switch my gear into sellers and telling sellers what to do. But I think for this position, if you do go into a house and the seller's agent doesn't have, photos of what, the landscaping looks like or the pool looks like when it's open, if they don't have any of those photos, as a buyer, you should ask your buyer's agent to request those. Hey, it doesn't matter if they're professionally taken or not, but does your seller have any photos, just so we can get sort of an idea of what it looks like in the spring. And I also want to say is be very careful with AI right now and the photos that you're looking at. That's why don't expect, I would always ask that question as well. Were these photos enhanced by AI, or are they actual photos that were taken last spring or summer? Because,
I mean, hopefully they have that sort of disclosure, but it's not always there. But you definitely, with AI, it's sort of taken over a little bit. And there are a lot of, properties that use the AI, or they use the virtual staging and things like that, it's a little bit, so sometimes when you walk into a property, you're like, oh, this kind of looks completely different.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you said too is, the aspect of having furniture in the room, like a vacant room. I think that is a very big misconception, in my opinion, that people think if the house is vacant that it will look bigger. And in some instances, I do tell my clients, you're better off to make this vacant because of maybe even just the quality of the furniture or different things like that matter. I prefer it's either all staged, either it all has furniture or it has none, right? Yeah. I mean, maybe with bedrooms and stuff, but I think that, I don't even know what brought me onto that thought. Oh, you were saying about the rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Can my couch fit? Can this? Rooms with furniture in it actually probably appear bigger.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about when I was looking, for my own house, there were some times where I appreciated a vacant house because it revealed things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that is a big thing. I mean, I don't even know if that's on this agenda here, but, we're talking about buyers and what buyers need to know and expect and prepare for in the winter months. But I mean, any month, you should certainly be pushing area rugs to the side. Or we had one house, we were the listing agent, and somebody was hiding something from us under a trash barrel in the bathroom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was
that before me?
Yeah, no, it was broken tile. It was recently. There was broken tile in the bathroom, and I was like, of course, we found it when we were in there doing photos, but we're like, you have to, don't hide it. I don't think it's something we have to disclose. There's broken tile in the bathroom in the corner. We don't have to disclose it, but we certainly don't want to hide it.
Well, I just remember, I think it was Mark during my first home inspection. He moved an area rug, and he's like, that there's no flooring under here. I was like, oh, well, I do now.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, no flooring. They, I don't know if they were hiding it, but the carpet was certainly hiding the fact
They were
that it
hiding it.
did
Don't
not
be
have
nice.
flooring.
I mean, they don't know what house you were looking at. Be truthful right now. They were hiding it.
Yeah,
But
but I
was
feel
something
like
about that house. I had bad
I
vibes
know
in that house.
you
I
left the basement.
I
You
left.
said,
I was
"Forget
like,
this."
I'm out of here. I don't like this house.
Yeah,
I would
I
have
don't
never
like
visited you.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, all right.
Now you're right around the corner.
Now you're right
and I
around
can-
the corner, and you don't visit
and
me anyway.
No, but I occasionally leave you leftovers.
Yeah, and you walk by, and I see you on my camera, and you wave. So I also want to talk about using the season to your advantage as well. So with buyers, purchasing a home, during the winter, it could reveal certain issues like insulation issues, drafts, the heating system if it's older, and things that might go unnoticed or just not working.
Yeah, well, when you're talking about the heating system, you should also be thinking about the AC system too, right? So, I mean, we've talked to sellers about some of the things that they should do, but certainly for a buyer, if you are buying a home in the winter months and there's AC, P.S., you can't check that in the winter when you have your home inspection.
Yeah.
You should ask the buyer's agent, does the seller have any, like a report or something from an HVAC company, indicating that the AC is working properly?
Yeah. Okay. So we'll jump ahead to.
Oh, was that part of it? I'm sorry.
Well, we'll jump ahead to the winter home inspection consideration. So the heating system performance, we're able to test that, but AC not so much. You are able to see evidence of ice dams or roof leaks because in the winter months, obviously it'll snow. Well, we didn't really get much snow in the past couple of years.
Well,
so
according
hopefully.
to the almanac, it looks like we're going to have a pretty cold and dry winter too. So
I like that. It's hard to inspect the roof shingles beneath snow, decks and patios, septic tanks, leaching fields, things like that. It's a little bit harder in the winter time and when things are covered. And even seeing, things out in the backyard. I mean, how many times have we heard that people were hiding things under the snow?
Oh, yeah. I had one of those. I know. It was weird. I mean, people are strange.
People are strange. I mean, that's
people are funny, and I don't mean
if there's
ha-ha
one thing
funny.
if there's one thing I've learned, it's that people are strange.
People are funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that story, like, I remember it like it was yesterday. And every time I go up to Walmart, I drive by that street every single time. And I do think of that story often. And to catch you up to speed, if you never heard me tell the story, I had a listing one time, and other than the fact that when I got there the first time, they had all of the smoke detectors out on the front driveway smashed into thousands of pieces. When we were doing the final walkthrough, and I was the listing agent on this, so my fiduciary responsibility definitely is to the seller. But I was standing upstairs, we were doing the final walkthrough, the buyers were, and I looked out the window and I was like, what is that mound out there that I never really noticed before? And then out of the corner, I can see like a mattress peeking out of the corner, and they buried like stuff out there and put snow on it.
That's crazy.
Did they think it wouldn't melt?
Well, you know why the smoke detectors were all out there?
Because the batteries
They
were
all
tripping.
kept beeping.
Yeah.
I know.
They won't stop.
So they
Change
just
the
smashed
battery.
them all.
Change the batteries. I know. Tim, you're so right, though, right? They get frustrated, but that's why we tell people daylight savings every year, twice a year, change those batteries.
Yeah.
Please, it will save your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're very sensitive now. I mean, sometimes we just walk by and they're like, oh, by the way, we just want to let you know that we're still working in my house. I'm like, oh, gosh. So, we have a whole system when we cook. But, they're really sensitive. But that's crazy that, I mean, I don't want to say things are crazy, but it is crazy that they just smashed them in the driveway and was just like, all right, bye. And by the way, my mattress is in the backyard.
Yeah, smashed them on the driveway. I was referred to them by somebody. I don't remember who, like an attorney of some sort. But anyways, so that's the thing when you are a buyer's agent. I mean, you definitely want to be making sure that everything is, I mean, Trish Flynn, one of our full-time real estate agents here at Boston Connect as well, she had a situation, it wasn't even winter, I don't think, or maybe it was. And this person had like tires and things in the back, and
Yeah, she tells that story often.
That ended up being a big nightmare.
Some things that get overlooked during home inspections. So, checking the water spigots outside, during the winter time, make sure they're off for the winter.
It's called a silcock. I'm married to a plumber.
Yeah, silcock. Screens, window screens. So a lot of people take their screens out for the winter time, and just if they are out, making sure that they're all accounted for, maybe in the basement or an attic or somewhere, wherever they're kept.
And there are times that they're not.
There are times that they're not, but ask the question, because you can. I feel like it's not really something, unless you are like an avid, like, okay, it's wintertime, got to take the screens out or move do the storm windows and things like that. Like, you don't really think of those things. So when you're walking around and just, making sure that you write down, okay, this is what I want to double check. This is what I want to double check and things like that. We talked about ACs, not being able to be tested. Going around and making sure that the chimney caps and flashing, things that aren't hidden by snow. I guess snow is the biggest factor, making sure things aren't hitting, and making sure that the basement is dry. So you don't, the ground is frozen. That's why we say it's a little bit harder to do Title V's and, inspecting leaching fields and stuff during the winter months because the ground is frozen, and digging that up. So, making sure that the basement is dry, even though the ground is frozen, and you don't want, flooding in your basement.
No, never. You never want that. As you were talking, I was thinking about, sometimes, when there is snow on the roof, it's really, obviously inspectors are not Superman. They can't see through things, right? Can Superman see through things, or he can just fly? I don't know. Someone can see through stuff.
I don't know.
Can they have X-ray vision? I have no idea. Anyways, they can't see through snow. That's what I know for sure. So it's hard to see that. But again, ask the buyer's agent. Ask your buyer's agent to ask the seller's agent, hey, did your client happen to take any photos of the roof beforehand, before coming on the market? Because even sometimes when you go to take photos, if you're taking photos of a property in the winter, there may already be, snow on the roof. So you can't really have a good indicator of what that roof is looking like. But also keep in mind that there are times where don't get overly alarmed if you're walking through a house and you see, because I have listings that, there may be a water stain in the bedrooms. If you see them in the corners, that's probably, in my opinion, in what I've heard from past inspections, and I've done a lot of them, that it may have been the year, I think it was 2014 or 13 or 15. I think it was 15, that we had a ton of snow and we were getting all these ice dams. That was like the whole topic all the time. Those usually happened in the corners of the roof lines because, the snow and ice would build up there. So if you see water stains inside, for the most part, people will, kills and repaint the ceiling and stuff like that. But there are still occasions where it's overlooked. I mean, if you're not in those rooms, you're certainly not paying attention to it. But if you are there and you're looking and you see those, sort of ask, were those stains previous to that time frame? Were those maybe there before they got a new roof? Like if you see leaks, staining other places, like when the inspector goes into the attic and maybe sees it on the roof, on the wood, that's the roof, like staining there. It may be prior to maybe the seller put a new roof on. So definitely ask that. But one of the things that we did recently in one of my listings is that situation actually happened in a couple of rooms, and the seller just didn't even recognize it because it just doesn't go in those rooms. And we had a mold person come out. Actually, Jake was here yesterday. Jake from Turner Environmental was here yesterday doing some air quality testing for us here in the office. And he went there because there was some mold that was spotted in this attic. And he has a meter, like a moisture meter.
Yeah.
So he went around and tested all of those spots, and they were all dry. So that shows you that it was something previous.
We have a caller.
We have a caller.
Oh, yes, we do. It's Jay in Plymouth.
Hello, Jay in Plymouth. How are you? Good morning.
Well, Well, good morning. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, Thanksgiving was perfect. I was hoping that you would call us last week. We were talking all about Thanksgiving, and I was like, I wonder how Jay's Thanksgiving was.
It was good. It was good. Hey, just a few things. I just tuned in.
Yeah.
Traveling to Marshfield. You had mentioned about the outside spigot.
Yes.
Just a word of advice: when you shut off the main spigots in your house, make sure you run them dry outside. Because if you don't, the water that's in there will end up freezing and causing you issues.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. And take off those hoses, right? People sometimes will leave the hose attached, and then if there's water in there, then it will come back in. And yeah, because I think that people get false relief when you say, "Oh, I have a frost-proof, silcock," right? It doesn't really matter if there's water in there; it still could potentially freeze and split it, right?
Yeah, same thing as waterproof. Really, is it?
Yeah, I know. Like my phone, if I drop it in the bottom of the ocean, chances are it's not going to survive, right? Even though it's waterproof.
Exactly. And this is something I went through, and it's actually a hazard. My house was built in 1971, I believe. And one day, I was coming home, and I walked in the house. I'm like, it smells like electric is burning. And so, come to find out, my whole electric, what do you call it? The circuit breakers were on fire. And do you know why they were
Your
on
electrical
fire?
panel
Yes.
was on fire?
Thank God. Yeah, thank God I just got home. It just started. Basically, the year my house was built, if you go outside and you look at your electric meter, okay, and you have, and I'm not an electrician, so I'm trying to describe this. You don't touch, you observe, unless you're an electrician.
Are you saying that from past experience?
Oh, yes, past experience, yes. But you live and learn. But with electricity, sometimes you don't live. But so basically, if you're looking at it, and the wire that comes down the house into the electric meter, well, back in the days, they just would put, I'm going to call it putty, around that hole on top of the meter where the wire comes in. Well, after years of weather, especially in New England, that becomes, it cracks.
Dry, almost like dry rots, right?
Yeah. So basically, water was getting in there and going into, dripping down into the panel, even condensation. So that's my story for today.
Well,
you want to observe.
That's a very good point, because it does come up a lot in home inspections, by the way. So, a lot of times some of those things are forgot to be sealed, and they have to be sealed. But certainly in older homes, it is something that comes up a lot. Hopefully your home inspector catches it.
Yeah, well, mine didn't, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
No one's perfect.
So is that what happened? Did the water get in? Was that where water was getting in, and that's what caused the fire?
Exactly. But like I said, I was fortunate enough to get there in time. I mean, you're put in places at particular times, and if it was probably an hour later or less, the house probably would have torched.
Oh my
goodness. Just a word of advice to everyone. Like I said, observe, don't touch.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, too, is like what, our topic today is winter home buying, what buyers need to know, expect, and prepare for. But this really does go back to one of the conversations that we have here often is, doing a once around your house, a couple times a year, that is something that people certainly should be looking at. And it's interesting because I had the same situation happen in my house. We were having some work done on our house, and it was an oversight that the electrical wasn't sealed on the exterior, and water, I think it was actually snow, might have been getting inside somehow, like maybe just the way that the wind or the rain was going. But that is definitely something that, home sellers should be looking at and just sort of taking a look at when they're going around their house. I'm going to make sure my husband looks at ours when we get home.
Of course.
Well, I mean, seriously, better safe than sorry. I mean, I had dogs in the house, and I'd be devastated.
Yeah.
anything can be replaced, but not when it comes to living animals and people, you know?
Exactly. Well, that was a really good tip.
And one other thing with the gutters, now's the time. Get those leaves out of there. Because if the more leaves you have in there, the less the water's going to drain. And then I'm assuming, it hasn't happened to me yet because I'm always on top of it, but with that backup, and if we get the rains that we usually get, that we haven't had for years, and then all of a sudden we're getting 4 inches, 5 inches, that's going to back up into your gutters. And basically, then if it freezes, you have issues.
Yep. That's what we had. We had that I was talking about a little bit earlier in 2000. I want to say it was like 2015 that, we had so many ice dams. Do you remember the ice dam? I mean, do you remember like the icicles that used to like be hanging off of people's houses? I mean, they were weapons, actually. I remember like there was a danger associated with the icicles. And I just remember when I was younger being like, oh, look how pretty the icicles are. They're weapons if they fall from somebody's roof. But remember how big they were huge. And then people couldn't get them off, remember? And then it was wrecking people's roofs and gutters and everything else.
People were using hammers or rakes and stuff like that. You don't want to do that to your roof. No way.
I remember.
In fact, I think the last time we had those, wasn't it in the winter when we had almost 4 feet of snow throughout the season?
Yeah.
Do you recall that?
Yeah, I do. I think it was 2015 and 4 feet of snow. I think I had an 8-foot pile of snow at the end of my driveway one year. Like it was like we were living in an igloo getting out of our driveway. Like I couldn't see either way. I was like, what is going on here? Yeah. So those were memories. The only thing I miss about those snowstorms is there's nothing like a good snow day.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you drive in the snow. Like you're like snow doesn't impact it. It's like you don't stay home. You go out.
Yeah, but sometimes like just knowing that the whole world is shut down just because it's snow, it just feels good. Like school is closed, the kids are playing. Like I don't know. I like a snow day. I wanted one in I think it was August. I looked at Mark and I said, you know what I want? I want a snow day.
Oh my
it's like,
gosh.
all right, well you have a while to wait.
Those were the days, especially when you were in school. You wanted a snow day.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, you'd watch the news to see if your school comes up on the bottom.
I remember that. Now they probably text them and let everybody know.
Yeah.
But I remember I was working at Reebok, and before I had my girls, which my oldest is 31, so I left after I had her. So I was at Reebok, and I remember that the snow was so bad that they had to shut down the office and send us home. So, it's pretty too, but whatever. I guess you can put it on YouTube now and just put it on our TV and watch it.
Especially around the holidays.
Absolutely.
You like a little snow,
Yeah, you need a little snow in the holidays.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a white Christmas. Yeah. And then I hope it happens on the 26th because I don't want to be dealing with all the travel and everything on the 25th. Yeah. So, well, Jay, thanks so much for calling in. Those were some great tips. I really appreciate you.
Have a wonderful holiday. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Jay. Have a good one.
Thanks, you
all right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. I love when Jay calls. I feel like he's my buddy.
Yeah.
I really do. I feel like I know him. I have zero idea what he looks like. He probably has zero idea what we look like. I know that's true that a lot of our WATD listeners don't know what we look like because they listen to us on TV and they're not watching us on...
Well, they listen to us on the radio.
That's what I meant. They're listening to us on the radio. We're not on TV yet. But they listen to us on the radio, and some people see us on social media and everything, but... I love when we're doing open houses.
I love when we're doing something. They're like,
it's this look.
You almost know, you know that somebody's trying to place you somewhere and they can't. And so you just let it play out a little bit. And then they're like, do I know you? You sound so familiar. And I'm like, do you listen to WATD? And they're like, Talk Real Estate Roundtable. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. When they put it all together.
When they put it all together, they're like,
I
oh,
knew
that's
it.
what you look like. No, I'm just kidding.
I know. Hey, we have a face for radio. That's why we're here. So what are some of the other common overlooked factors, or like what people should be thinking about during maybe negotiation strategies? What do you want to get into next? I do want to say, because we only have about 8 minutes left here. A show that I'm working on, and we haven't decided exactly when we're going to do it, because I do want to do more research, and I am going to ask some experts to either join me, or I want to come up with a list of questions for experts to help us with that show. It is something that is extremely personal to me. And it's, it's funny because I've been on the air for over 20 years, I think now at this point, because I started with Michael McNamara on Money, which is on right after us. I think it was only one time that I cried, and it was when I did discuss the situation, with my dad and his dementia. And we're still in the thick of things right now. And most recently, it has gotten more difficult. I'll just put it that way. But I was talking to one of the wonderful nurses where he is now, and she might be a physician's assistant, or I'm not sure of her title, and it doesn't really matter because she's just wonderful. I mean, where he is right now, I'm not going to get into that, but we were talking, and something came up about me doing the radio show and what I did for a living, and, being a real estate agent and everything. And we were having a really good conversation, because it's, when are you too late to think about, I think I'm going to put an in-law on my house, or an ADU in my yard, or whatever it is, so I can bring my parent home with me that has dementia. And as we were discussing it, and, I'm in the room with my dad that has dementia and several other people in the dining room there. It's like, when they get to that point, it's too late.
Yeah,
it's too late.
I didn't want to say it out loud, but I have a thought.
Yeah.
Like that's just where they are.
Yeah.
Like, they might not leave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some of them might not be coming out of there. And to think like the ability to do, so here we are promoting next week's show, to take on that, handling what comes along with that process as a caregiver is a lot. So I am working on that show. So if there is anybody who is listening that, has gone through, living with a parent who has dementia or ailing or something, wanted to do an in-law, did do an in-law, considering doing an in-law, we would love to hear from you, just so we can maybe even interview you off air, just to get some insight into what people's mindset is, because that will be a show that we want to do in the upcoming year.
Yeah.
So you can get in touch with us at real estate at bostonconnect.com.
Yeah.
Just do that one. It's easier for us. So real estate at bostonconnect.com. And that would be, I think we actually have one that's radio show, but just go with real estate at bostonconnect.com.
Covers all the bases we have here.
Yeah. And any questions you may have about that, because I really do want to do a thorough job with that show.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about winter negotiation? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we can.
So some leverage for buyers, things that you can, you know what? I almost did an agenda about contingencies, and I think that we should do a show about contingencies, because I feel like we're seeing more contingencies in offers than we did before. And we'll go over that maybe next week.
Which is an indicator of our market switching a bit, by the way, right? So before, we didn't see any contingencies because buyers were afraid to ask for anything, because there were multiple offers, right? So things seem to be a little bit slower now.
I don't think they're afraid anymore.
Yeah.
So asking for certain things, whether it be closing costs or, compensation or anything like that. So, we'll talk about contingencies next week, but during the winter months, when it's a little bit slower, for both sellers and buyers, you might have the opportunity to ask for certain things, or have like a home sale contingency or things like that might sort of make them want to gear towards another offer instead.
Well, one of the things I'm looking at at here is like overlook negotiation opportunities, like ask for the leftover firewood. I think that that's a great one. Because, firewood is expensive, but sometimes, sellers sometimes at the end of they're like, I don't even know what to do with this firewood, but make sure that's part of the negotiations. But one of the other things, and I don't see it on this list, but and I talked about it last night, weirdly, there's like oil adjustments.
Yeah.
Is that on there?
Yep, remaining oil.
Oh,
and
yeah.
propane.
So it's this interesting thing that happens here is that the seller will get a final oil reading and the buyer is obligated to pay for that oil at the end. I say this all the time. I'm waiting for the first buyer to say, no, I don't want your oil. Get it out of my tank.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense to me. But I used to put in the offer that the remaining oil in the tank will be part of the sale at no additional cost.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So the seller decided to had to put oil into the tank
To keep the systems running.
Now the property is being sold and you get to recoup that money.
It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either because it would be irresponsible to not fill the tank for both parties, and it would be irresponsible for someone to purchase a house that had absolutely no oil and expect that the oil company can get there the same day.
And I think that that's one of the things that you can do. You can do anything in an offer, and maybe it's writing something like, oil to be minimally at half a tank at time of closing and to be included in the sale at no additional cost to the buyer. It should be. I mean, let the person get moved in and get everything settled and set up and everything. There was another one too that I was thinking about that the buyer should be asking for
in the winter.
Yeah. Well, even though it wasn't even in the winter, it was. Oh, I know. This is one that's overlooked all the time. Just because if you're buying a home that has a pool and you can't see the pool, you can't see anything about the pool, so your mindset isn't really on the pool. But certainly write in your offer that it will include all the pool equipment and chemicals and supplies to go along with it. Because guess what? If you don't ask for it, that is a personal item that the seller owns. And if you want that, you should be asking for it.
Yeah, especially if you've never had a pool before.
Yeah.
We've seen that before.
Yes, we have.
And here's our outro music.
It was very nice to see everybody. We did get on halfway through the show with our Instagram and everything. It's always a pleasure being here with you. If you have any questions, if you're thinking about buying or selling a home and you would like to talk to me, please feel free to call me at 781-294-4848. I'm happy to do an analysis for you and tell you where you are. You can't get to where you want to go unless you know where you are. So 781-294-4848. You can go to bostonconnect.com and find all of our wonderful real estate agents here at Boston Connect Real Estate. And any other final thoughts?
No, we'll see you next weekend for contingencies.
All right, we'll see you next weekend. Bye, everybody. Bye, Tim.
Bye.
Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you.